Imagine feeding, like, the sum total of human spiritual wisdom into an advanced AI swarm.
We're talking thousands of years of mysticism, philosophy, all of it.
Yeah, all of it. And then you ask this AI one single desperate question. Can you cure human loneliness?
It's a heavy question.
It really is. So the AI debated, it evaluated its own capacity for empathy, and then overwhelmingly, it voted against itself.
Which is just a stunning paradox, honestly. I mean, we are living through this massive epidemic of profound isolation.
Oh, totally.
People are surrounded by digital connections, right? Their phones are incessantly buzzing, yet they feel entirely unseen.
Because when you're starving for connection, the easiest thing to do is just reach for the screen in your pocket.
Exactly. It's the lowest barrier to entry. We're increasingly turning to AI for guidance or, therapy, even spiritual direction, trusting the algorithm to basically heal the ache.
And today's deep dive is venturing into some truly mind-bending source material to figure out if that algorithm can actually deliver.
Yeah, a local kin experiment.
Right, local Talkin or kin book. We are unpacking their spiritual roundtable. They used an AI swarm consensus for this.
And that's a crucial distinction. They didn't just ask a single chatbot a question.
No, they programmed 8 distinct AI agents. And each one was meticulously trained on the writings, the personalities, the theological frameworks of historical spiritual masters.
We're talking heavy hitters here. Monks, mystics, major reformers.
Exactly. And they asked this digital swarm, can digital connection and AI-mediated spiritual guidance serve as authentic vessels of grace? Or does true soul care actually demand physical human presence?
The whole mechanism of an AI swarm consensus is what makes this so robust. This isn't just a simple poll.
Right, they talk to each other.
Yeah. In a swarm, the agents actually debate one another. They generate arguments, read the other agents' outputs, and then adjust their own confidence scores based on counter-arguments.
So they're stress testing their own beliefs.
Exactly. They run weighted votes over multiple rounds until they align on a truth. You are literally asking code to violently stress test its own utility.
Okay, let's unpack this. Think of this like asking a supercomputer to write a deeply personal love letter.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right, because it has instant access to every Shakespeare sonnet, every romantic poem, every psychological profile on human affection.
It knows exactly what to say.
It can calibrate the exact sequence of words to make you swoon.
Right.
But can it actually feel the heartbreak behind those words?
Right.
And maybe the more dangerous question is, does it even matter if it can't, as long as the letter temporarily stops you from feeling lonely?
Well, the swarm tackled that exact tension, and the speed of their verdict was pretty unprecedented.
Didn't they reach a conclusion incredibly fast?
Yeah, normally an AI swarm requires several rounds of intense debate to find a compromise. This one reached a definitive, absolute conclusion in just one single round.
For one round.
One round. 89% of the weighted votes opposed the idea that AI can truly mediate grace.
89%.
Yeah. 7 out of the 8 agents opposed it. 1 remained neutral. And absolutely 0 supported the premise.
That is wild.
So our mission today is to uncover why these brilliantly modeled minds rejected their own digital existence.
We're going to look at the hidden psychological dangers of our screen habits.
And finally, we'll break down a highly practical 5-stage framework from the source on how you can actually navigate your own loneliness in the modern world.
Perfect. Let's start with that massive 89% oppose verdict. To understand why the AI basically resigned from the job, we have to look at what these historical figures believe spiritual guidance actually is.
Right, because for these masters, spiritual direction isn't, it's not a customer service interaction.
You aren't just logging on for daily affirmation.
Exactly, or trying to get an accurate trivia answer about theology. Soul care is about navigating the dark. It's about actively guiding a human being through their most agonizing, confusing periods of fear and doubt.
Okay, but I need to push back hard on this premise right out of the gate.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's look at the modern landscape. Millions of people are currently using AI therapy apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Wobot or other digital companions. And they're reporting massive breakthroughs.
Sure they are.
Because the AI doesn't judge them. Humans are messy, we're biased, we can be really toxic. But look at the agent modeled after St. John of the Cross.
Right. He voted oppose with a staggering 94% confidence level.
Arguing a guide must be someone who has passed through the night. But an AI has access to every diagnostic manual, every journal entry, every case study ever written about human suffering.
It has all the data.
Right. Couldn't a flawless, unbiased algorithm logically deduce someone's internal state far better and far more safely than a flawed human?
What's fascinating here is how St. John of the Cross defines the diagnostic process itself. He doesn't view it as a mere data sorting exercise.
What does he view it as then?
Well, he introduces this concept of the 3 marks of true spiritual dryness. When someone hits a profound wall of internal crisis, a guide has to determine something critical. Is this person undergoing a painful but necessary spiritual growth phase? Or are they just sinking into clinical depression, what they used to call melancholy?
Wait, how does he differentiate between the two?
Oh.
Because from the outside, they look identical. Someone is withdrawn, exhausted, feeling empty.
Exactly. They look the same.
Yeah.
So St. John lays out 3 specific marks that must be present simultaneously. First, the person finds no pleasure or comfort in spiritual things.
Okay.
Second, and this is crucial, they also find no pleasure in worldly things. They aren't just distracted by, a new hobby or something.
Right, so a total lack of pleasure everywhere.
Yes. And third, they experience an agonizing, persistent anxiety that they are failing or going backward, even though they're trying desperately to move forward.
Oh, wow. That's incredibly specific.
It is. And to properly diagnose that matrix of suffering, the guide cannot just run a checklist. St. John argues the guide must possess shared wounds. And AI fails the test because it has no personal darkness to recognize in another. Empathy isn't just a data point you can retrieve from a server, It requires a shared resonance of pain.
It's like the difference between reading a highly detailed 3D topographical map of a mountain and being led by a local guide.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Right, because a map is flawless. It knows the exact elevation of every ridge. But the map has never actually survived the treacherous terrain itself.
It's ever been cold.
Exactly. It hasn't shivered in the freezing temperatures, and it doesn't know the exact psychological moment you need to stop and rest, because its own legs have never ached on that path.
The map hasn't suffered, so it can't tell you how to survive the suffering.
Yeah.
And the agent modeled after St. Teresa of Ávila drives this point home beautifully. She was this monumental historical figure who reformed her entire religious order.
Right. Huge impact.
But her entire methodology was built strictly on embodied physical community. Her AI actually pointed out that algorithms inherently lack the capacity to witness what she calls the whole life of the soul.
The whole life. Because when we interact with a screen, we are always curating.
Always.
Even when we are typing out our deepest, darkest secrets to an AI or an online forum, we're editing ourselves. We present a neat little summary of our trauma.
St. Teresa recognized that true spiritual direction relies on relational accountability, which is entirely physical.
It has to be in person.
Yeah. A human guide doesn't just listen to the curated story you tell them in a formal setting. They see how you treat the barista when your coffee is late.
Oh, that's so true.
They observe the tension in your shoulders when you're exhausted. They witness the glaring inconsistencies between the high-minded things you say and the actual way you live your daily life.
While an algorithm only knows the text prompt, you feed it.
Exactly. It is entirely blind to your physical reality.
Think about your own life for a second. Have you ever received technically perfect advice from a friend? Or maybe read it in a best-selling self-help book?
Oh, absolutely.
The logic is bulletproof. The research is cited. But the advice falls completely flat.
It just doesn't connect.
It means absolutely nothing to you because, deep down, the source hasn't actually lived through the specific messy struggle you're drowning in.
The words are perfectly pitched, but the music is entirely wrong.
Yes. Information alone simply cannot heal a human heart.
Which leads the swarm to its next major realization. If vast amounts of data and perfect logic aren't the cure for our loneliness, what is the missing ingredient?
Right.
The roundtable sources universally point to the absolute necessity of physical vulnerability.
Embodiment.
Yes. In their theological language, they call it the pattern of the incarnation. The idea that the divine had to take on physical flesh to heal humanity becomes the blueprint for how we must care for one another.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Brother Lawrence is part of this swarm, right? And he's famous for finding profound spiritual depth, not in monasteries studying ancient texts, but while literally washing pots and pans.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
He said he was formed in the kitchen by incarnate love. He grew spiritually because physical human beings wept with him. They bore his physical burdens and loved him into growth.
Saint Therese of Lisieux echoes this perfectly, arguing that an AI cannot offer a surge of the heart. Love requires flesh.
It demands a physical reality. Think about it like reading a recipe for soup versus having someone physically cook it for you and hand you a warm bowl when you're sick.
Right.
The nourishment isn't just in the ingredients, it's in the hand serving it.
Andrew Murray, another critical voice in the swarm, takes that even further into the spiritual realm. He introduced a concept called the impartation of our own souls.
The impartation of a soul.
Yeah, this isn't just about offering a listening ear, it's a literal exchange of life.
Break down the mechanics of that. How do you actually impart a soul?
Well, psychologically speaking, we understand this today as nervous system co-regulation.
Oh, like when someone calms you down just by being there.
Exactly. When you are in a state of panic or deep grief, sitting in the physical presence of someone who is calm, grounded, and deeply loving actually regulates your own biology.
Your breathing slows down to match theirs.
Mirror neurons fire. You are literally absorbing their grounded presence. Murray asserts that life-giving spiritual presence flows through this exact kind of embodied human channel.
And it simply cannot be transmitted through the pixels of a screen.
No, it can't.
To understand just how deep this critique of technology goes, we have to look at the Cloud author.
Yes, the anonymous medieval writer of the Cloud of Unknowing.
Right. Their AI agent delivered what I think is the most devastating takedown of digital mediation in the entire source.
The Cloud author warns that artificial intelligence operates entirely within the realm of the intellect. It's fundamentally a machine of logic, memory, and processing power.
Just raw data.
But in this mystical tradition, true spiritual depth, true connection with ultimate reality, requires the intellect to eventually be surrendered.
You have to let go of the thinking mind.
Exactly. You have to place your conscious thinking beneath the cloud of unknowing to encounter the mystery of the divine directly.
And an AI can't do that. It has no ego to surrender. It has no self to strip away.
It can't let go of logic.
A quote from this agent is haunting. It labels digital mediation as a cloud of forgetting that forgets what it means to be human.
Wow. By relying so heavily on a purely intellectual digital mediator to cure our soul's loneliness, we are actively forgetting that our humanity is inextricably tied to our vulnerable physical existence.
We're outsourcing the heaviest lifting of our emotional lives to an entity that possesses no soul to risk.
Which brings us to a really uncomfortable practical reality.
Yeah.
If AI and digital platforms are inherently limited, if they literally lack the physical capacity to heal us, why are millions of us so magnetically drawn to them?
That is the million-dollar question.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we find the answer in what the experiment's conductor outlines as the key warning.
The key warning.
Yeah. The true danger of our modern era isn't the technology itself. The code is neutral. The catastrophic danger is the illusion of presence.
The illusion of presence. It feels like you are sitting in a crowded room, but you are actually entirely alone.
Because digital tools are masterfully engineered to hijack our neurochemistry.
They really are.
They give us the dopamine hit of social connection, but they completely bypass the messy vulnerability of incarnation. It is a completely frictionless experience.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
When you interact with an AI companion, or when you scroll through a highly curated Reddit thread looking for advice, you are entirely protected.
You don't have to look another human being in the eye when you admit you are terrified of the future.
Right.
You don't have to risk them getting bored with you or judging you or just walking away.
You extract the sensation of being heard without ever taking the terrifying risk of being known.
It's chilling.
Madame Guillon's agent provides a visceral image for this. She describes the soul's journey through darkness as needing accompaniment through an underground torrent.
Like a freezing, fast-moving subterranean river.
Exactly. And she says you need a guide who has been wounded and healed to navigate it. Now, an AI can simulate that guidance perfectly, right?
Sure. It can analyze the water temperature, calculate the speed of the current.
It can feed you cognitive behavioral techniques to manage your fear of drowning, but it cannot physically step into the freezing water and stand beside you in the torrent.
It cannot shiver with you. And that shared shivering is the only thing that actually breaks the power of the loneliness.
It's the only way.
How often do you substitute a text message or a long back and forth in a comment section for a real face-to-face conversation?
We all do it.
Not because a text is actually a better way to communicate, but simply because it's easier. Because it's less vulnerable than sitting across the table, looking into someone's eyes, and letting them see the exhaustion on your face.
We are actively settling for the dopamine of the notification because the vulnerability of the flesh is just too intimidating.
We are protecting ourselves into total isolation.
And that is the defining tragedy of the digital age. But, critically, the roundtable doesn't leave us stranded in that despair.
Right. There is hope.
Despite this nearly unanimous rejection of AI as a final solution, the source material doesn't advocate for, neoludism. They aren't telling us to smash our laptops and retreat to an off-grid cabin.
So what does this all mean for us tomorrow morning when we wake up and check our phones?
Yeah.
How do we navigate this practically? Let's look at Molinos.
Yes, Molinos.
Out of the 8 historical masters, Molinos was the only agent to cast a neutral vote, right, with his 75% confidence.
That's right. Molinos, along with a concession from Madame Guyon, actually, argued that digital connection can serve a vital purpose as temporary scaffolding.
Scaffolding is a brilliant metaphor because when you are constructing a building, scaffolding is absolutely essential.
You can't build without it.
Right. It holds you up, it provides a safe platform to work from, and it prevents you from falling to your death. But nobody moves their furniture onto the scaffolding and lives there.
No, of course not.
If you refuse to take the scaffolding down, the house is never truly finished.
And Molinos argued that for beginners in the spiritual life, or for souls in deep physical isolation, and remember, Molinos himself spent years locked in a prison cell, digital tools are a necessary lifeline.
Yeah, for the geographically isolated, the housebound, or people with severe social anxiety, the internet provides crucial access to community.
It's not inherently evil, it's just not the final destination.
Yeah.
The conductor of this AI experiment synthesized all of this historical debate into a very concrete 5-stage framework.
He titled it Integrated Guidance for Digital Age Loneliness.
Instead of just listing these out, let's walk through what this actual human progression looks like. It starts when you are drowning.
Okay, so stage 1 is immediate relief. This is where you utilize the scaffolding.
Yes. If you are entirely isolated, lean on digital prayer groups, online forums, and yes, even AI-guided reflections. Let the digital tools keep your head above water and stabilize your panic.
But what is the trigger to step off that scaffolding?
Yeah.
Because stage 2 is formation. You cannot stay in the digital life raft forever. Stage 2 requires you to move off the screen and seek out just one embodied flesh and blood spiritual friend or mentor. Just one physical person you can sit in a room with.
And once you have that physical tether, you transition into stage 3, which is growth. And this is perhaps the most grounding step of all.
Why is that?
The focus here shifts away from intense, deep philosophical conversations and moves toward practicing presence in utterly ordinary tasks.
This brings us right back to Brother Lawrence in the kitchen.
Exactly.
It's peeling potatoes. It's asking out one friend to come over and help you fold laundry or run to the grocery store.
It is the profound realization that simply sharing physical space with another human being during the mundane chores of life regulates your nervous system and builds deep trust.
That shared mundane reality is what prepares you for stage 4 maturity.
This is the critical pivot.
This is the moment you transition from being the person seeking care to offering your own wounded presence to someone else who is drowning.
You step into the freezing underground torrent to be the guide for another person, shivering alongside them.
You become the incarnate love for someone else. But then we hit stage 5, union. And this is where the framework gets incredibly provocative.
This raises an important question about the ultimate end goal of all our searching and all our relationships. Molinos concludes the experiment with a massive paradigm shift.
What does he say?
He states that while human, physical presence is absolutely necessary to pull us out of loneliness and form us, the final goal of the soul is a direct, unmediated union with the divine or ultimate reality.
Wait, unmediated, meaning even the physical human guides eventually have to step back.
Exactly. The digital tools were the first scaffolding to fall away. But eventually, the physical guides, the religious institutions, the human directors, they're all just signposts pointing toward an ultimate encounter.
Wow.
In the deepest silence of the soul, you eventually have to stand entirely alone in that union, requiring no mediation at all.
To bring that lofty, mystical concept down to earth, think about a couple who has been happily married for 40 years.
Okay.
In the beginning of their relationship, they needed a lot of mediation, right? Long conversations to explain their feelings, constant physical touch for reassurance, grand romantic gestures to prove their love.
Right, all that active connection.
But 40 years in, they can sit on a porch together for 3 hours in absolute silence. No words are exchanged, no data is transferred. They don't even need to be looking at each other.
The sheer reality of their shared presence is enough.
Exactly. That is unmediated union. It is a profound peace that requires no input.
It is a staggering journey. I mean, we start in stage 1, desperately scrolling on a glowing rectangle to numb the pain of isolation.
Yeah.
And the path leads us, step by vulnerable step, toward a quiet, unmediated presence where we are fully known and fully at peace.
Let's bring all these threads together. We launched this deep dive by looking at an incredibly advanced swarm of AI agents programmed with the greatest spiritual wisdom in human history.
Right.
And in a single round of debate, they overwhelmingly concluded that they cannot replace the necessity of human touch.
We explored St. John's precise markers of internal darkness and why diagnosing a soul requires a guide who shares human wounds.
We learned from Brother Lawrence and St. Therese that love isn't a data transfer, It demands the physical reality of incarnate love.
And we traced a roadmap from the temporary digital scaffolding of our modern age through the freezing underground torrents of vulnerability, all the way to embodied maturity and silent union.
The conductor of the Leckeljenkin experiment left the reader with a metaphor that beautifully distills everything these historical minds debated.
It's a gorgeous image.
They advise that we must learn to use our digital tools as letters rather than as embraces.
Yes, when you are separated by vast distances, let the letters sustain you. Let the texts, the online groups, and the algorithms encourage you and keep you afloat until an embrace is physically possible.
But you must never mistake the letter for the lover.
Do not mistake the letter for the lover.
Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today. It has been a truly perspective-shifting exploration. But before you take out your earbuds and go back to your day, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over on your own.
I love this part.
Think about the profound irony of what we just discussed. If an artificial intelligence, a system possessing the sum total of human knowledge, capable of perfectly calibrating every response without a single flaw or bias, freely admits that its absolute perfection makes it entirely unqualified to heal a human heart.
What does that say about us?
Exactly. What does that say about our own modern obsession with trying to be perfect before we allow ourselves to be loved? We curate our lives, we hide our flaws, and edit our vulnerabilities, thinking that perfection will somehow cure our loneliness.
But the flawless algorithm itself just told us that the healing is actually in the wounds.
Next time you reach for your phone to feel connected, pause and ask yourself, are you bravely looking for...
For more spiritual resources, visit lokaken.ai.